The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Yes, guys, we're live once again. I don't really have a particular topic boxing-wise that I'm gonna talk about. I just wanted to keep the momentum going and say hello, say what's up, and I'm gonna let you guys steer the ship tonight. I'm gonna let you guys determine what we talk about. It could be boxing related, it could be non-box related. As you can see, I don't really care much about the production tonight because I'm shooting it in a vertical format. I normally don't shoot these lives in a vertical format. They're a lot more planned out, but sometimes you just gotta come say hello, say what's up, check in with the people. So yeah, man. Got the Terramona fight coming on in the morning. Clarissa Shields is fighting this weekend. There's things happening in boxing this week, but it's not like one of those big weeks. You know what I mean? So anything y'all want to ask, you can ask. My man AR says hello. What's up, champ? What's up? We just here, just chilling, just enjoying. The early start to the week. Waiting for people to start commenting and getting in here and making their thoughts known. Just some good old fashioned late night random boxing talk, or it don't gotta be about boxing. It can be about anything else you want it to be about. It is worth noting, and I've said it many times, that I'm gonna be in England for the Moses Atama fight. So I leave for England in 13 days. I'll be leaving for England in 13 days, and I'm getting really excited about it. It's actually the only thing I can think about at the moment. My man Chip Bud says let's match make the best B-side fighters that need a fight. Okay, the best B-side fighters. We'll throw some names out there. One guy that comes to mind. I'll go my boy Ian Green. He's a B-side fighter, but he hasn't lost for like 8 years. I think he's like 17-2 or 20-2, maybe 20-2 now. Hasn't lost for 8 years. Can't get a fight. These guys like Bektimir Melikuziev, they don't want no smoke. I mean, he says yes when Golden Boy presents the fights, and they found a way to not make it happen. So hopefully that fight can happen. I'd like to see him get an opportunity. He's saying Usima Lima versus Abreu. That's a good one. Usima Lima, in retrospect now, he took that Aaron McKenna fight on short notice. So he was, and he took Aaron McKenna the distance, and now Aaron McKenna's a world champion. So in retrospect, I guess the Boots loss doesn't look so bad now, because this guy showing some durability. What fights do you want to see on the Canelo undercard realistically? My man, high to P Daff, high topped as fuck. He says, which fights do I want to see on the Canelo undercard realistically? I kind of feel like they already have their people picked out. Like, I know Rafael Espinosa is going to be on the undercard, and on that, he's presumably going to fight his mandatory challenger, which is Lorenzo Parra. So, I'm not mad at that fight. I would like to see Jaime Munguia fight. If we can somehow get Jaime Munguia versus Diego Pacheco, that'd be great. But realistically, I would rather that fight be in Southern California, in LA, because I feel like it'd be exceptional. But let's see who else we got. Munguia, maybe like Armando Resendiz. He was a former world champion. He was a guy that is an exciting fighter. So get him on the card. Why not him? Raven Casera says, prove that you're real. How do I do that? I'm here, I'm talking. I'm not AI. I'm very much a real person. I would venture to say I'm the realest there is. But I don't know how I prove that. But thank you for joining. Goat says, what's up, BT? What's up, champ? How you living? I'm just here, just talking, and seeing what are the fine folks in the box community saying. I'm doing the very rare vertical live streams. I don't really do these too often, but sometimes you just got to come here and just go live. Just don't think too much. Don't plan it out too much. Just go live and just talk. So what's up? Berlanga versus Darius Fulgham. That'd be a good fight. I know they're trying to match Darius Fulgham with Ian Green up. That's a fight that's in the works right now. Darius Fulgham and Ian Green. Ian Green versus Berlanga is another good one. Um, yeah, there's a lot of good B-side fighters out there that could use some fights. I think Munguia versus Bektimir Melikuziev is in play. If they want to do that fight on the Mexico card, I could see that being a fight on the Canelo card, on the Mexico versus the world card, because Munguia is obviously Mexican, he's world champion. Bektimir Melikuziev is a guy that's worn sombreros and shit like that, and very much has a aggressive, come forward Mexican style. So maybe that's a fight they do. But shout out to all 16 of you here. Make sure you smash that like button. I got 16 of you here, but I only got 5 likes. So run it up, man. Run it up. So that other people can get in this live too. Cali Monk, what's good, champ? I'm just here. I'm just chilling. Just trying to figure out what the boxing community is saying about the sport right now. What are the hot burning topics on y'all's mind tonight? I don't know if y'all seen it earlier. I'll tell you one thing that I saw on Twitter earlier. You had Adrian Clark, the manager of Brian Norman Jr. He had recently come out and he stated that pretty much that that fighters are asking for $2 million to fight Brian Norman Jr. in a 10-round non-title fight. So it's funny because people always say that Brian Norman Jr. is trash. Since he lost to Devin Haney, he's trash. He has a low ring IQ. He wasn't that good to begin with. But dudes is asking for $2 million to fight him in a world title, in a non-world title fight, in a 10-round fight. So what that tells me is that they respect his punching power, and that punching power is real, straight up. So, I'm not really sure who Adrian Clark could be talking about. If I gotta take a guess, he's probably talking about Tiger Johnson or Keyshawn Davis or Rohan Polanco, because those are the kind of fights that Top Rank I know is very interested in making Brian Norman Jr. For his career. So I can't say for certain, but you can look at the rankings, you can look at the landscape, you can read between the lines. But yeah, the exact tweet from Adrian Clark was, it's not that fighters are saying no to Brian Norman Jr. The problem is that the other managers are expecting $1 to $2 million to fight Brian for a 10-round non-title bout. That's been a consistent problem this summer, and it's been a consistent problem for a lot of years, especially now with the Turkey Al Sheik in boxing. Fighters have a overinflated view of their own value, then that's why a lot of them stay inactive. Mercado's uncle versus Delgado. That's this week, right? Oh no, Delgado. No, Delgado's supposed to fight the Chechnyan Wolf, Artur Byarslanov. That's the fight that I know they're working on. Cali Mogg says, I just got done watching Hitchens beat up to fighters with winning records. I wonder why he's not getting another shot at a big name. The reason why Hitchens is not getting a shot at a big name is because Hitchens is a very good technical boxer. He's hard to beat, even harder to look good against. So most guys are not going to really look his way unless he's mandatory or, you know how it goes. High risk, low reward. $2 million. Keto says $2 million is the price for their fighter, maybe losing months of their memory. Fair enough. I mean, it happened to Jin. We know Jin Sasaki, and shout out to my boy Jin Sasaki. That's my guy. But Jin Sasaki lost quite a lot of his memory for a bit of time. So I get it. But it's just these fighters. They start woofing about in the media like they're really like that. Like they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that, and then when push comes to shove, you want a fortune. You want an absolute fortune to fight a guy who's coming off of a loss, who everybody claims isn't that good because he lost. As far as Keyshawn Davis versus Brian Norman Jr., I think if you're Keyshawn Davis and you're not fighting Devin Haney and, you're going to continue to duck that fight, the best possible fight you could make right now would be Brian Norman Jr. He's one of Devin Haney's most high-profile opponents. He's a former world champion. He's got a fun, all-action style. there's enough people that think that that's a dangerous fight for you for you to somewhat redeem yourself. I won't say you can redeem yourself because Devin Haney is the big fight. And you did duck that fight, but I feel like that's a good consolation prize. At least you're fighting somebody who was just champion not that long ago, less than a year ago, if we're being all the way specific and all the way exact. By the way, guys, happy belated anniversary, man. I saw it's just now turned midnight here on the East Coast, so it's August 12th now, and 2 days ago marks the 2-year anniversary of, where is it? That fight right there, Angelo Leo versus Venado Lopez. The 2024 knockout of the year. So, happy belated anniversary to everybody out there. Sucks that he hasn't fought that much since then, and it's been quite a shit show, of epic proportions behind the scenes. But that's boxing and that's life, I kind of wish I could go back in time to those times. Everything's so different now. Everything's changed. I kind of miss those times. I miss 2024. But Joey Boxes, what's up, champ? What's going on? What's good to see you, champ? What's going on? How you living? Slide Encounter in the building. What's good, champ? Make sure y'all go ahead and smash that like button, man. I'm going to be here for probably at least 90 minutes to 2 hours. And who knows, if it really gets lit, if the comments get real lit, shit, maybe even 2.5 hours. Either fight or ride the bench and make no money. Let them bills start pouring in. That's how it goes. These fighters, they win a fight. They get an overinflated sense of their value. They let certain people get in their ear and tell them bullshit, i.e. Keyshawn Davis and Coach Dorsett Barnwell. Look at what he's been spewing from his mouth. And that he's got a big part to play in why Keyshawn Davis is acting how he's acting, in my opinion. But, it happens. But then all of a sudden, the tax man comes knocking on the door. The bills start piling up. And now, boom. Now you want to fight. Now you want to do what you should have been doing. Do I think Jack Catterall has been through too many wars to be able to defeat Devin Haney? No, I don't. I mean, I would favor Devin in the fight. I think Jack, man. Let me see. What war he went through? What, Josh Taylor twice? But Josh Taylor, Prograis, Ekal Esselman. Nah, I think Jack is fine. I think Jack's fine. Jack's very crafty. I think Jack versus Devin would probably be a snooze fest, to be honest with you. But I think Jack's the kind of fighter that could really trouble you. In terms of his he does have sneaky punching power. He's very experienced, not just in the ring, but even his gym experience. A lot of people forget that Jack Catterall was one of Floyd Mayweather's main sparring partners for the Manny Pacquiao fight. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's also sparred Manny Pacquiao. So, guy's very experienced. He's tested. And he's been waiting for an opportunity like a Devin Haney fight for now, he's been a professional, I believe, 13 or 14 years. So this is a guy that's super seasoned in the game. I think he's just fine. But I would favor Devin Haney, obviously. How do you think Liam Paul versus Jin Sasaki would go? Be a great fight. Paul is the craftier fighter, but we've seen in the Lewis Crocker fight, we've seen that you could get to him, and if you're willing to throw punches and let the leather fly, you can get to Liam Paul at 147. I think I could see Jin winning that fight, to be honest with you. Who are my 3 favorite fighters right now? My 3 favorite fighters in boxing right now are, they're all 3 fighters that I know in real life. So, Angelo Leo, Yugo Osaki, Ian Green. Those are my 3 favorite fighters. But apart from people that I know, like on a personal level, I'll say Brian Norman Jr., Artur Beterbiev, and who else? Masamichi Ibuki. He says, you're doing great, important work with recent interviews. I think you have the only English language interview of Sebastian Hernandez-Reyes. I actually had the second one because Fight Hub TV did one after the Nakatani fight, but I have the longest one. I had the most extended version of him interviewing him in English, and yeah, shout out to Sebastian Hernandez Reyes. I'll tell you guys this, man. In less than a month's time, on September 5th, it's gonna mark the completion of my 11th year covering boxing, which is absolutely insane to me because I don't feel like it's been that long. But I really do feel like of late I've rediscovered my love for just this. I've always loved it to a degree, to a high degree, but I feel like I rediscovered the more the pure love I had for it when I was younger. So that's why I feel like I'm doing some of my best work now. I have roughly one. I have one interview that I completed the other day, which I won't say who it is. It's not a big name, but it was a good interview. And then I have 2 interviews I'm doing tomorrow, which will be out at a later date. So stay tuned for that. Three interviews are in the queue. That's all I can tell you guys. And I just dropped one today with Katsuma Akitsugi, the bantamweight contender. It was like 45 minutes long, so go check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, staying busy with it. Joey Box says, I don't think Jack's fast enough for Haney. He gets visibly tired way too fast. Yeah, I think Devin will have a speed advantage in the fight. I think too, at 47, Devin has filled out a little nicer. So, yeah, I think Devin probably wins on points. Maybe on points with a knockdown. I kind of wish Jack Catterall, Josh Taylor, #1 didn't happen because that fight changed the whole trajectory of Josh Taylor's career, and I was a big Josh Taylor fan. Like, I love Josh Taylor. I was the president of the Josh Taylor American Fan Club, right? But that fight changed the trajectory of his career because before that fight, they were talking about Josh Taylor going up to 147 pounds, and I think he should have did it. I don't think he should have stuck around at 40. He was very big and weight drained for the weight class, and it showed. It really showed in a big fashion in Catterall 1 and 2. But yeah, good fights. Catterall really showed the world, the caliber of fighter he was, and those are the fights that really announced him to the world. Because if you remember, Catterall had to wait a long time for the opportunity because when Josh Taylor was fighting for Undisputed against Ramirez and they were putting that whole fight together, he had to take step-aside money and wait his turn. And eventually he got his turn, and when he got his turn, he shined brightly on both occasions. So, no, respect to Jack Catterall, man. One of the true fighters around 140, 147. Is Virgil going to end up fighting the Tower or not? In your opinion, who wins? I don't even want to say I think. I'm like about 80% sure that fight's already in the works. And you're going to say, BT, well, how do you know these things? How do you know that it's in the works? Because all I'll say is, I won't get too specific, but all I'll say is when I was in Las Vegas and I was sitting at the bar doing my interviews with Rick Glazer and all these people, I saw prominent people of prominent positions in boxing discussing prominent things. So I'll just leave it at that. I think it's a fight that's already being worked on behind closed doors. What do you think is more likely to happen sooner, an undisputed champion at 147 or at 130? I'll say 47 just because I think, at 130 you're going to have I think you're going to have Foster moving up very soon and possibly even Vaquero if the right fights present themselves. So I'll say 47 for that reason. Joey says they were saying Taylor versus Crawford. Oh my God, Jack saved his life. Well, I mean, at the time, right? At the time, before he had that Catterall fight, it was looked at, it was looked at to be a really good fight. I think Crawford would have won, but Taylor hadn't lost yet. He hadn't looked bad yet. So, hindsight's 2020. Why aren't Filipino promoters promoting and bidding on events instead of signing with Hearn or same with the Usos? Most Filipino promoters don't have the capital to just, win those kind of bids. And it makes more sense and it's easier if they do things in a co-promotional deal. But I'm with you, man. I'm all about empowering yourself. They should do that because I feel like you look at a guy like Pedro Tajuron, he's getting the short end of the stick. A lot of Filipino fighters getting the short end of the stick. So it'd be nice if that could happen more often. I'm with you, champ. Diane Gonzalez versus Rafael Espinoza. Who would win? It's a good fight. I'm not the biggest Diane Gonzalez guy. I mean, I think he's good. I think he's solid. But it's going to be nice to see Espinoza's post-fight Lorenzo Parra next. That's his mandatory. That's what all the insiders are saying in the fight game. I would love to see that fight. I think it'll be nice to see Rafael Espinoza in there with a real puncher. If we're just being honest, and people hate when I say this because they feel like, oh, BT, you're being a hater. But it's the truth. Apart from Obesia Ramirez, he's fought 0 punchers in his whole boxing career. He has been steered away from anybody at featherweight that can punch even worth a lick. So that being said, I think that'd be a very problematic fight for Espinoza just because Dan Gonzalez can punch. But see, the thing is, it's all well and good to have punching power against Espinoza, but you need to have volume. You need to have that ability to put punches together and put him on his back foot, which was the main reason Robesi lost that first fight. He could have beat Espinoza that first fight, but he threw like 350 punches, and Espinoza threw like 1,000, 1,200 punches. So of course Espinoza won. Callie says Abdullah is not ready for Zepeda, they say. What do you say, BT? Well, I had the honor and the privilege of sitting alongside Abdullah Mason and my buddy Sean Tatel and my buddy Sean Porter on the Porterway podcast about a week and a half ago. And we had a chance to discuss all this, and I even had a chance to ask Abdullah about fighting Alan Chavez, which is really the fight I want to see, even more than the Zepeda fight, if I'm being honest. But look, man, when you become a world champion, it doesn't matter if you're 22, 32, or 42. If you're a champion, if somebody comes looking for that belt and looking to make a big fight with you happen, you got to fight, brother. You got to fight. You got to fight the top guys. So, I mean, right now it's cool. Mason just became champion against Sam Noakes. He just defended against Albert Bell in a very tough fight. So we'll give him his credit. But inevitably, as long as Abdullah keeps doing what he's doing and Zepeda keeps doing what he's doing, both men are going to have to face the music and fight each other. So I love the fight, and I don't think it's too early because I don't believe in that. For a world champion, I don't believe in that kind of talk. Now, if you're a prospect, you can talk like that. If you want to move a guy because you see certain things in him and he's a prospect, that's fine. You can talk like that. But when you're a world champion, cut that out. We don't talk like that no more at the championship level. Espinoza got a drop by a journeyman. He definitely has a suspect chin. He does. He has a very suspect chin. And that's why, if you just look at the attributes of the opponents he's fought since he's been champion, none of them can really punch. J-Dub. Shout out to J-Dub, one of my loyal viewers and subscribers. He says, do you think we'll ever go back to a time where top fighters fight more, like 2 times at the very minimum and 3 times a year on average? I feel like boxing can't grow because guys aren't seen enough. But look, before I answer your question, let me say that I've been going back, and so has Sean Tatel. We both been going back and rewatching a lot of old HBO boxing because, sometimes we get distraught by the state of boxing, and watching those old HBO boxing fights, it's like medicine. And when I say HBO boxing fights, I don't just mean like the mega fights like De La Hoya versus Trinidad or Pernell Whitaker versus Chavez. No, I'm talking about like world champions fighting like their voluntaries that they're supposed to beat the shit out of, because that's where you really see the glory of HBO, the storytelling aspect of it, I say all that, and I say all that to say that Larry Merchant had a great quote. And Larry Merchant said, nothing can kill boxing, but equally, nothing can also save boxing. People were saying that boxing wasn't going to grow and that boxing was going to die when Muhammad Ali was fighting back in the day. You understand? So I would like to see top guys box 3 times a year. And I think now with all the promoters being under one umbrella with DAZN, that is feasible. I also think with TNT getting a one fight card per month, it's feasible. And from even from like the Zuffa boxing side of things, Zuffa boxing has a certain structure and a way they want to go about things. I feel like it's feasible from that side too. So I think they can do it. It's just a matter of will the promoters actually put up the money to do it, and are there enough willing fighters to do that? Because I'm telling you guys, a lot of these fighters, they win a big fight and they rest on their laurels. They think they made it, and it's difficult because, you could be a fighter that nobody cares about one moment, and then you get a big win, and now all of a sudden, now people care. Now you're being talked about. Now, your money's going up. Now you think you're getting girls because of your looks. Now, people that you never met in your life, now they want to be your friend. So it's hard. It's a lot of things that boxing fans don't see when it comes to fighters and things they go through that I've been privy to see, and it's just it's not as simple as, oh well, like, can they fight 3 times a year? Yeah, they can fight 3 times a year, but will the promoter put enough money up for them to fight 3 times a year? Can the fighter stay healthy and injury free during training camp? Will the fighter rest on his laurels if he wins a big fight and makes a little money? These are all the factors that go into that. So that's why when you see the guys like Inoue and Canelo and Vaquero Navarrete, at one point he fought 3 or 4 times a year. Angelo fought 4 times in a 1 year span not that long ago. When you see fighters that do stay active, appreciate it because it's tough. My man right here says that he would throw Abdullah right in there with Zepeda. I don't see why not. You were champion. It's a great fight. I would venture to say it's one of the best fights that could be made in the entire sport of boxing. And on top of that, they both headlined the first 2 TNT cards. In fact, look, I'll show you guys this. Look at this. Look on my wall. I just added this. This is my wristband from the Abdullah Mason Albert Bell fight on the 4th of July. You see it, TNT Sports. You see it right there. That was our credential. They didn't give us a limited credential. They gave us these wristbands, but I thought it was pretty cool because 4th of July, first ever TNT card. They both did good numbers on TNT Sports, and I feel like, if you were to do them fight together, it could be a great event. And I'll tell you this: if Abdullah Mason at 22 years old beats up on William Zepeda, man, forget a superstar. I think now we're talking about a guy that's on an upward trajectory of becoming a legend in the making. Because that's how it was back in the day. When the greats like Salvador Sanchez and Ricardo Lopez and all these guys existed, they were doing things like that at that age. Are you concerned with legacy promoters are leasing signed fighters to Zuffa Saudi who has a desire to release them? Are you concerned? I'm concerned in general for boxing. I'm concerned about everything. How come nobody is talking about Bill Haney saying they took less to go to the zone? I didn't hear him say that. But, shit, if that's the case, then, look, one thing about Devin, man, one thing you can say about Devin Haney, and I know Devin Haney fanboy, but I call things how they are. These guys believe in themselves. They've shown throughout the duration of their career that they believe in themselves. Mason versus Zepeda is scary if you're a Mason fan because it can go really well or terribly wrong. Well, that's what this shit. Listen, that's what boxing is about, guys. Boxing is about those kind of fights, those kind of moments. Go for the gusto, go for the glory. You get but this much time in life, especially in boxing, to do anything significant. Why mess about? If the fight makes sense and it's commercially attractive to the networks and it's an exciting fight, I'll tell you the guys like this. And I don't know about you guys. I can only speak for myself. When you get a fight like Mason versus Zepeda, to me, there's no such thing as losers. Like, yes, of course, somebody loses on paper, but when you get 2 guys that are that exciting, that are that fun to watch, that are that skillful, boxing wins. As cliche as it is to say. Navarrete versus Foster, October 24th, San Antonio, Texas. I keep seeing that. I don't know if that's true or not. But I hope it is because that's one of the best fights also that could be made in boxing this year. And in my opinion, you guys can tell me what you think. But in my opinion, the winner of that fight should be the fighter of the year. That's what I think. Because Navarrete's coming off of beating up on Sugar Nunez, who was one of the hardest punchers around his weight class, legitimate champion. Then you beat if he beats Oshaki Foster, I mean, come on, that's massive. And then for Foster to beat up Raymond Ford and Navarrete back to back, I mean, that's pound for pound stuff in his own right. So I feel like if that fight gets made this year, the winner of that fight to me will be my fighter of the year. But I haven't heard anything yet. If that fight does get made, I'll be there. J-Dub says, I feel like what you're describing is the type of stuff that happened to Stephen Fulton. Happened to Stephen Fulton, happened to a lot of fighters. I mean, it's happened to tons of fighters. That's what I'm saying. J-Dub's saying it right. J-Dub's saying it right. Abdullah has a type of character and integrity to where even if he takes a loss, he'll be fine. That dude has heart. I'm not worried to throw him in there. Well, like the T-shirt says, he has an appetite for the smoke. And, if y'all want to accuse me of being a fanboy of certain fighters, there's only a handful that I'll let you accuse me of being a fanboy of, and you can actually get away with it. And Abdullah Mason is one of them. I love Abdullah Mason. One of my favorite fighters in boxing. We need more guys like Mason. A lot of y'all talking about the face of boxing. I'll be honest with you, like that conversation for me personally, the whole face of boxing debate, it's really for the birds. It's not for me, because I feel like people just like having those conversations to justify their fanboyism for whatever fighter they say is the face of boxing. So, I don't think guys fight enough in this day and age of boxing for there to be a face of boxing. And I also think boxing's not visible enough to the average Joe Blow on the street for there to be a face of boxing. When Mike Tyson was fighting, when De La Hoya was fighting early in his career, even Floyd, when Floyd was doing record-breaking numbers in the sport of boxing, I feel like you could say things like that. But right now, I don't think boxing's in a stage where you could say there is a clear-cut face of boxing. So that's why I don't really like those conversations these days. My man right here says, can we get rid of bias, stereotypes, tribalism, and people fighting their own ethics and biases out of boxing? I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be cool if that could happen, if that could be a thing. But a lot of people watch boxing. Let's be real. A lot of people watch boxing so that they can justify their racial superiority or cultural superiority. They use boxing as a means to project whatever insecurities they have in their own life. Like for me, I just love the sport. I love the aspect of, the discipline, the warrior mentality, the overcoming adversity. Like I feel like boxing is such a great metaphor for life. So I watch it and use it as a metaphor for life, and I do get great joy in getting a chance to cover boxing. But that's not how most people are. Shout out to Cyrus. He says there is tribalism in every international sport. Yeah, but not like boxing. Boxing's a bit different because dudes is literally punching each other in the face. What are your thoughts on Caleb Plant going back and forth with Rick Laser? I feel Rick is out of line. I mean, look, man, Rick is going to be Rick. Rick, I saw the interaction. Rick pretty much said that Caleb Plant was a hillbilly. And listen, man, Rick's my guy, but, Caleb Plant's my guy too. I go back some years with Caleb Plant as well. Back like almost 10 years, for being exact. Caleb Plant's not a guy you want to get into like a verbal sparring session with. He's very good at shit talking. I don't have any extended thoughts on that. I just think Rick's being Rick, Caleb Plant's being Caleb Plant, and that's what it is. He says boxing is inherently prejudiced. One of the biggest fight archetypes is the black versus the Mexicans. I hear you, but I don't really concern myself with that. Now, What I will say is, the only like rivalry that like my favorite rivalry in boxing is I like Mexico versus Japan. Mexico versus Japan is probably my favorite rivalry in boxing. Rick is gonna talk his shit, and that's what I'm saying. Like Rick's gonna be Rick. Rick is very polarizing. I'm gonna tell you guys something about Rick. Do you guys know how many times I've been to Las Vegas and I've just been out and about minding my business, talking to certain people in the boxing world, and then someone else will say, "Oh, well, BT, he talks to Rick Glazer," and then people will start getting on my case just because I don't hate Rick Glazer and I'm cool with him. Like, I'll tell you. In fact, one time I remember back in 2024, I went to the undisputed video game release party in Vegas during Canelo Berlanga fight week, and I remember I was talking to Rachel Donaire, and I remember Rachel Donaire was making a big scene about how me and Rick Glazer are cool. And as she's making this big scene in this lounge where they had the damn event, Michelle Phelps overheard the conversation, and she had a little bit of alcohol, and she was like, "You talk to Rick Glazer? How could you talk to him and be cool with him? He's a racist. He's a terrible person." Like, it was a lot, and that ain't the first time that's been the case. So I understand with Rick, he's a very polarizing figure in the sport of boxing, and he's just gonna naturally ruffle his feathers because that's just who he is. But I ain't never had a problem with him. He ain't never done me wrong. Samson says, "All I know is Rick better not be lacking at these boxing events since Caleb Plant likes to frequent them." I love Rick. He's my guy, but that is facts because I'll tell you guys. I'll tell you guys another story. Since we're doing story time here at True School, we're just chilling on the live. We're just chilling on the live right now, just talking shit. I remember when I was there for the Madrimov Crawford fight in 2024, and I remember I was just walking the venue. It was me and the very lovely and equally talented Christina Ramirez. We were just walking around the BMO Stadium, and I remember Caleb Plant walked by us, and Caleb Plant stopped by. He said hello. He said, "Hey," he said, "What's up, man?" And he complimented me on my outfit. He said, "Man, you look fresh." And I said, "I appreciate you, Caleb." And then I kid you not, like probably 30 to 40 minutes after that, Caleb Plant got into an altercation with Ahmed Albiali. So one thing about Caleb Plant is he's gonna be on smoke. He's ready at all times. Rick is married to a black woman. This is true. This is true. Well, Joey, no, it's not just because of Rick going off on Rachel. He also made some pretty disparaging remarks on this channel about Cameron Duncan, who was a friend of hers. So that she didn't like that. Caleb called you fresh. What a humble brag. I see you, BT. Yeah, I mean, I was doing my thing. I had like I had a gold chain on. I had one of those like Scarface shirts. I had my shirt open. I had a fresh cut. It felt nice. Nah, I fuck with Caleb Plant, and I always have. Midwest Boxing says also, just being married to a black woman doesn't mean you still can't be racist. I mean, look, homie, you got DSL. What the hell is DSL? I don't know what that is. But shout out to everybody here. It's your boy BT, Brandon Taylor, you Untouchable True School Sports Empire. Make sure you guys go ahead and smash that like button. I mean, y'all being stingy with me. Man. I got 33 people here, and I only got 16 likes. I should have like 25 at least. So go run it up. People are convinced that Crawford is coming out of retirement to fight Boots. Do you think that's a possibility? Of course. I mean, Terrence Crawford's last fight was in, September of last year? Terrence Crawford hasn't been inactive for a full calendar year yet. So in my mind, he's not retired yet. You understand? Even if he says he's retired, in my mind, he's not even retired because even on BoxRec, you don't get deemed an inactive fighter on BoxRec until it's been a full year. So it hasn't been a full year. Um, of course, I've been saying it. I said, look, if Jerron Ennis just talk even the slightest bit crazy about Terrence, Terrence is gonna go to Colorado Springs and go to a super training camp. You know, he's already in camp right now with Lester Martinez. So all Boots gotta say is, I'll knock Terrence Crawford out. And Terrence, I mean, he already said that Terrence Crawford was easy work and that he would stop him. So maybe Terrence is already in camp for Boots. Who knows? But yeah, I definitely think it's a big possibility. Dre the Great says, true. Have you ever run into the guy round one, hashtag Team Inoue? Yes, I have. I actually ran into round one sports talk. I ran into him. I've ran into him twice. I ran into him the first time at the Inoue Cardenas fight. There's actually a video of round one sports talk talking to Angelo Leo on my YouTube shorts from a year ago. So there's that. That was that time. Edwin, super cool guy, awesome person. Got nothing bad to say about him. And I ran into him back in June at the Boots and his Zayas fight. So yeah, I ran into him before. Listen, everybody that covers boxing on YouTube for the most part, anybody who goes to fights and that has been going to fights consistently for the last, 5 to 10 years, I pretty much met everybody you can think of, damn near, that goes to fights. Now, if they don't go to fights and they just be chilling at the crib, I ain't seen them. What up, Hockey? Shout out to you over there in Malaysia. He says, I just finished your interview with Katsuma Akitsugi before coming here. I enjoyed it. Well, thank you, champ. And yeah, go check that interview out if you guys haven't already with Katsuma Akitsugi. Very good fighter, bantamweight contender. Just an overall good guy. He says, I might pull up, maybe drop your location. How about no? How about no? We never drop the location. Never. We don't do that. At least not at the, not when we're at the house. We don't do that. What's my ethnicity? So my dad's Puerto Rican, my mom is Dominican and Cuban, but man, I'm from South Florida. Greg Abernathy, shout out to Greg. He says, how long do you think the guy at 130 from Japan, I forgot his name, when do you think will be ready for a title shot? So you're talking about Hayato Tsutsumi. He was slated to fight for the WBA title earlier in the year, and then he got an injury, had to pull out. He's ready to fight right now for it, but there's a big log jam in the rankings there. So I don't know when or if he'll get his shot there. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be a full year next month. Exactly, Rat Machine and Terrence is training. It's going to be a full month next year, and he's in camp. So I wouldn't rule it out. Boots should call Crawford a hillbilly just like Rick did to Caleb. That would do it. It would. Oh, man, that would be more than enough. He should do it. See how it goes for him. This is how I know that Crawford is not on Mayweather's level. At this age, Mayweather dominated a young Canelo. There's levels to greatness. I agree. I think Floyd Mayweather is still greater than Terrence Crawford. People like to diminish Floyd because it's popular to do. They hate on Floyd because he was great. But see, he wasn't just great inside the ring. He was great commercially. He was popular, and he wasn't supposed to become a popular fighter. And people like shitting on Floyd because I feel like Floyd Mayweather will expose people's. He exposes a lot of people's insecurities because they don't work as hard as Floyd, and they'll never be as great at anything as Floyd is because they don't work as hard as him. They don't dedicate themselves to anything as much as Floyd did. So that's why I feel like people hate on Floyd and they feel like he's arrogant and this, that, and the third. But nah, man, Floyd. As far as our lifetime, I still feel like he's the best fighter of our lifetime. Better than Terrence, better than everything. In the last 25 to 30 years, he is the best fighter I've seen. He says this format feels weird. Well, I mean, I don't do it often. I'm just doing it now because I want to go live, and I don't feel like planning out a whole live. I just want to talk, so that's why I'm doing it this way. But shout out to you, Bull Boost World Order. Shout out to you, champ. BT, you did your thing on the Porter Way podcast. Thank you, man. And I had a great time there. Shout out to Sean Porter. I've done. I think that was my third time being on the Porter Way podcast, but I haven't been on the Porter Way podcast in like 2 years. So it was good to be back on. Shout out to him. Do I think that Luka Plotnik has a good chance of beating Lester Martinez? I haven't watched Luka fight a lot. I know he can punch a little bit. And he's like an aggressive fighter. I don't know if an aggressive fighter can beat. Like the only aggressive fighter that can beat Lester Martinez is Christian and Billy because of his gas tank. But not too many guys, aggressive fighters, I think could beat Martinez at 168 right now. I think he'll put up a little bit of resistance. I've seen a little bit. Like he moves in and out, has good footwork. He's got like the European style, has a right hand. I think Lester will win though. How are you Latino with the last name Taylor? Because my dad was adopted. My pops was adopted, and then so he took the last name on of his foster mom, Taylor. That's why. The only way Crawford will come out of retirement is if Ennis will insult him extremely below the belt statements. That's what he needs to do. That's what I'm saying. I know Boots don't like talking shit, but if he really wants to Crawford fight, I'm telling you, it is the easiest thing in the world. All Boots has to do is say Terrence ain't shit, and that he can say that he beat. If Boots just says, hey, when I sparred Canelo, I washed him way better than Terrence did, and Terrence will get knocked out in 5 rounds or less. That's all you gotta say. Just start talking crazy and go below the belt. Downplay his resume. Talk about how you're already more famous than him than he was at this stage of his career. Oh, he'll get angry. He'll find the vault to the snack supplements. BT, you have the latest updated new upcoming best fighter contender from Japan. Few of the past of the list have suffered defeat, I think. Nah, none of the Japanese fighters that I built up as the next big Japanese prospects have lost. Yuta Sakai has not lost. Yuga Fujiki has not lost. Yugo Osaki definitely hasn't lost. Right now, there's not really anybody that I haven't talked about already that I could really mention. Pretty much all the ones I mentioned before: Sakai, Osaki, Yokoyama, Fujiki, all them guys. Those are all the guys still, as far as the young guys. Joey Boxer says this format's better, less ads. Okay, I didn't know that, so you put me on game. J-Dub says, I discovered you from the Portaway podcast. I think the first time you were on there years back. Yep. The first time I was on the Portaway podcast, I'm going to say it was 2022 or 2023. I can't remember. What year did Brian Mendoza fight Fundura? Whatever year Brian Mendoza fought Fundura, that was the first time I was on the Portaway podcast, because on that episode at the Blue Wire Studios at the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas, I helped Sean co-host that show. We interviewed Brian Mendoza that day. So, yep. What up, Josh? LOL. All that is so outside of Boots' character, though. I mean, when Blair Cobbs was talking crazy about Boots was talking about putting him in a casket to his face. So if he gets talk crazy like that to Terrence, that'll work. Boots could probably say Philly is better than Omaha, and Bud will probably come back. He should. All Boots got to say is that Omaha ain't shit and that Omaha is soft. If Boots were to say Omaha is soft, then boom, you got to fight. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, 2023 was the first time I was on the Portaway podcast. Yep. Cyrus says, yeah, shout out to you for hopping on the Portaway podcast. When I saw you, I pointed at the screen like the Leo meme. Well, I appreciate that, man. Shout out to Sean Porter for having me on once again. Guys like Floyd, Jordan, Kobe, Tom Brady, the list goes on and on. They have the right to be arrogant. That's true. That's true. Joel, what's good, champ? Hats and Glasses says, why is Timothy Bradley dumbing himself down on his YouTube channel and boxing commentary? His personality has changed greatly. I can't speak for nobody else but Brendan Taylor. BT can only speak for BT and for how things get handled here on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. I can't really speak to those things, right? What I can say though is that it's different when you're commentating on a network and when you're commentating on your channel. It's way different. It's just a whole different setup, whole different feel. I don't know why. I don't know why he's like that in your opinion. I don't know. I personally enjoy Timothy Bradley's commentaries no matter where he's at, but it's just different when you're on a network as opposed to your own channel. Am I ready for Tam to stop Clarissa? Yo, so y'all are gonna have to put me on game. Like the chat, the fine folks here, you guys are gonna have to put me on game to this Tam Tebow chick that won a world title. Apparently she's really good, and everybody is saying that she's like the new person that could be Clarissa Shields. How good is she? I haven't watched her. I haven't really kept up much, if at all, with women's boxing for the last 3 years. I'm seriously thinking about doing a whole 30-minute video of me catching up on women's boxing and talking about all the women's fighters I've never talked about on this channel in a 30-minute video. And maybe I'll start dipping my toe back into my women's boxing coverage a little bit, because it sounds like it's starting to get pretty good. You got the Tam Tebow chick. Apparently she's really good. Clarissa's fighting again this weekend. You got the Alicia Bumgarner, Caroline Dubois saga. You got girls like Lauren Price. Michaela Mayer still doing her thing. How good is she? How is your last name Taylor and you're Puerto Rican? I just told you. I already explained it. First of all, I know y'all just discovering Tam Tebow, but that is my woman. So watch y'all mouth. I don't know shit about her, Cyrus. So put me on game. Apparently, she got like 5 fights. She won a world title. I believe she's the fastest person, male or female, to win a Ring Magazine title. So they say. How good is she? My man Jada said Clarissa is fighting who? Tim Tebow. Yeah, she's fighting Tim Tebow, number 15 on the Florida Gators. I heard that Navarrete versus Foster is trying to be made around October 24th in San Antonio by a reliable source in Brandon Walker. 210 Boxing TV. Shout out to Brandon Walker. I know Brandon Walker. Brandon Walker, he's very tapped into what goes on in the Texas boxing community. So, hey, I hope he's right. I got a lot of love for San Antonio. San Antonio, Texas is one of my favorite cities in America. I've been to like 3 fights there. I've been to Tank Roach there. I went to Zorro versus Uniesi Gonzalez there, and I went to Roach Pitbull. So I've always had fun covering fights in the great city of San Antonio. Big Dog Lukey, one of the best out there. He says Tam is a pro am right now. She'll be really good in 2 years. She's a pro am, like she's a professional fighter with an amateur style. I mean, she got a world title, so she got to start fighting the top girls soon if she has a world title. Yeah, I'm gonna watch her soon. I'm gonna watch her soon because I'm intrigued. I know how great Clarissa Shields is. I had a front row seat to her greatness early in her career. I remember like 2016 watching Clarissa Shields spar men at Fifth Street Gym down in Miami. There's actually a video of that on this channel if you go check it out. Go to the archives. Now she's great. Like, to me, truly great. And everybody wants to hate on Clarissa Shields because she's loud and she's brash and she's very confident in herself. But one thing about her, she always backs it up. What is she, like a 19-time world champion, 2-time gold medalist, 3-time undisputed? I mean, she earned the right to talk her shit. She's great. 2-time Olympian, masters in urban planning, speaks 3 languages, 5-0, 3 KOs, same KOs as Clarissa Shields already. Oh man, so Cyrus, basically you got a hard on for her. He mentioned the master's degree. He says she got a master's in urban planning and speaks 3 languages. It sounds like you trying to take Tam out for some coffee. You trying to take her out and go have a flat white mocha, man. You mentioned the damn master's degree. She's 6 foot with a 78-inch. Oh damn, she got a longer reach than most of these men. That's crazy. So Tam Tibble, I'm gonna check her out. I think, cause with me, man, I really feel like I'm rounding out into a better version of myself with this boxing stuff and in life in general. And I felt like, you know what, you can't say you cover the sport of boxing, BT, if you're not making at least somewhat of an effort to cover women's boxing and at least have a general knowledge of it. I used to be really tapped into women's boxing from the years of 2015 to like early 2023. I was tapped into women's boxing, but then in 2023 I made a conscious decision to up my Japanese boxing coverage. So then I sacrificed that, and I kind of like got annoyed with these women complaining about certain things. So I was like, you know what, we'll forget about it for a little bit. But you know what? That's not right either, so I'll tap back in soon. Camp Racing says, new subscriber here. Hey, well, shout out to you, champ. Welcome to the home of boxing on YouTube, the untouchable True School Sports Empire. Glad to have you here. Big Dog Lukey says, she is a distance fighter who fights at length but has amateur habits. Mouth is open, needs to work on the mid-range. Still fights in international amateur tournaments. Oh, shit. Okay, that makes sense. So she's kind of like a Jalaloff. She kind of operates like a Bakio Deer Jalaloff, but she's already a world champion, so that makes sense. Her offense is mostly jab, straight left, and check right hook. So basically, she uses the jab to set distance, get you to overcommit, and then when you overcommit, she checks you with the right. Okay, I'll check her out. Oh, Cyrus really loves this girl. I'm 44 years old and using boxing as a means of therapy and fitness. Subscribing now, bro. Well, appreciate you, champ. I'll tell you this, man. Boxing is the best fitness that you could possibly get in your life. I haven't been training recently. I've gotten kind of fat, but I got to get to it. I got to cut out the soda. I got to keep taking my vitamins like I've been taking my vitamins and get back to it. But yeah, it's great therapy, and it'll give you a lot of confidence in life. Shout out to Calamari King. But yeah, we're like 1 hour into the live so far. Make sure you guys go ahead and smash the like button if you haven't done so already. Definitely hit the subscribe button. And super chat and all that blase. Y'all can start the countdown now. We are 12 days away from flying to the UK for Moses Itama versus Philip Hrgovic. I'm very excited for the fight. Really excited for the fight. And it'll be my second time in the UK in my first time there in 7 years. So I'm really excited about it, man. I have a lot of unfinished business in the UK, boxing wise. And I'm excited to get to that and go to some gyms and get some content and meet some British fans and experience the British atmosphere in person for myself for the first time. I mean, dream come true. Can't wait for it. And hopefully you guys enjoy what happens when I go out there to the UK. Eating your calories instead of drinking them is a game changer. Water all the way. Yeah, man, I feel like I used to drink water all the time. I used to drink nothing but straight water. And then like, when you go on the road, you want to. That's when I get in trouble when I start drinking soda, eating crazy. So I want to drink water until my skin is glowing again. Just straight water. Joel says, I don't like Itama's personality in the face to face. He's my favorite heavyweight right now, but I didn't like his personality there. I hope he stays humble. Well, I mean, everybody's saying that he's the next Mike Tyson and that he can walk on water and that he can fly and that he has a jetpack and that he can do no wrong, right? So eventually, if you hear that you're great enough times as a human being, you're going to believe your own hype. And all the opponents he's fought, Dillian White, Dempsey McKean, all these guys have been overly respectful. And Philip Hergovich says, look, in layman's terms, Philip Hergovich is saying, look, Moses, fuck you and your hype. I'm going to smash your head in. You get no props from me. So if Moses don't like being disrespected by Philip Hergovich and not getting his props, do something about it. You know? I personally think, because I went back and I watched that face off a couple of times, I think Philip Hergovich is really in his head. I think he's really, really in his head. I stumbled also, but felt tremendously better by starting 1 mile at a time. Lomo is my favorite boxer. That's what I'm gonna start doing, champ. I actually I got like a notebook, right? So like in my notebook, I got like goals and things I wanna get done over the next 10 days. And one of the things I put to get done is, at least in these next 10 days, I gotta at least go for my run, at least 8 out of those 10 days. You know, just a short run. Mile and a half, 2 miles, just to really start getting back in shape again. True School, how do you never get fat? Half of it is good genetics. Like I have a lean body frame, so unless I just go bonkers with like fast food, I won't put on that much weight. That's just what I was blessed with. But I try to drink my water. I always keep this around me. I take my vitamins. I got like I got my magnesium right here. I got my beetroot powder here. And then I got my vitamin D3 and my vitamin K here. So we take that and that helps. And we try to drink our smoothies and eat some fruits every now and then. And God looks after us. I read that ice water burns extra calories because the energy your body spends heating it back up. I never knew that. That's good to know, because that's all I ever drink is ice water. Itama has a boring personality. He will never be a superstar. They're gonna try their hardest to make him a superstar. They got him in the Nike commercials already, over there in the UK. So they're gonna try. Well, the kid is like 20 years old. He's gonna be immature. Itama has a boring personality. Okay, Hergovich. What up, Karma? Good to see you. Hergovich is about to have his face rearranged. Easy work. Well, Moses better do it early, because if not, if Moses doesn't get him hurt or cut him in the first 3 rounds, that's it for him. That's it for him. You know, if he don't listen, if he don't cut him in the first 3 rounds, he's cooked. What up, Pac-Man? He says, what up, BT? Been a while since I caught a live. How have you been? I've been exceptional, man. Just really putting my best foot forward across the board in life and really enjoying what I'm doing a lot more these days, and just happy to be alive. Hergovich was in Dubois' head. He was, and then Neil Dubois decided to headbutt him like crazy, and that's the main reason he won that fight. Since when did we get so high on Hergovich? I've been high on Philip Hergovich since before the pandemic. There's videos of me talking about Philip Hergovich from like 2018. I've always been high on Philip Hergovich. Always. And I still am. BT, are you ever looking back up with the legends, Bo or Holyfield? I mean, not like it was back in the day, because back in the day when I used to see them, I used to always see them at the Heavyweight Factory, this gym in South Florida, and that gym doesn't even exist anymore. Like, they closed it down years ago, and Riddick Bowe moved to like Tampa, and Holyfield's just chilling down in South Florida. So it probably won't be like that ever again. And then, it doesn't necessarily need to be that way ever again, because I have so much hours of content with those guys. I don't need no more from Holyfield or Bo. They gave me more than enough, and I'm forever grateful to them for that. They didn't have to do that. They could have told me so many times, get away from us, but they didn't, and I love them both for it. I haven't seen Riddick Bowe. The last time I saw Riddick Bowe was last March. I saw Riddick Bowe last March at the Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach weigh-in, and I haven't seen him since. And I haven't seen Holyfield. I haven't seen Holyfield in years. It's been a long time since I've seen Evander. If Hergovich didn't have paper skin, we might have seen him with Usyk. We might have. Listen, man, I maintain it, and I'm gonna maintain it. I really feel like we still haven't seen the best Philip Hergovich yet. I've always said that, I've seen him train. Like I know him. I know Philip. Like, he's one of them guys that you gotta drag away from the gym, and I do feel like he's one of those guys that overtrains a lot. But I've always said, man, there's gonna come a time, and I was saying it after the Zhang fight, after all those fights where he wasn't looking that great, but he was still winning. I was saying, look, there's going to be a fight one day where the Philip Hergovich that I've seen in the gym and the Philip Hergovich that we saw early in his career, the Philip Hergovich in the amateur, shows up, and I think there's a big chance. I think there's a huge chance it'll be this fight. I've already seen Mosley Tama mention and complain about. He was complaining about Philip Hergovich rabbit punching. He's already complaining about it. So I don't know. Moses is a uber talented fighter. I take nothing away from his skill level, but at that top level, at the heavyweight championship level, it's not just about skills, and that's boxing in general. A lot of it comes down to your mental makeup. When shit gets hot for you in there and the going gets tough, will you get going? And I've seen enough things in this face-off, verbal things that Moses is doing, ways he's reacting to certain things Philip is saying to him. I've seen enough to have a reason to believe that he may not be mentally tough enough to deal with Philip Hergovich. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. The way I see it, and the reason why I'm so excited for the fight, because for me, it's a no-lose situation. When I go to the UK for that fight, either A, one of my longtime boxing opinions is going to come to fruition and Philip Hergovich will be heavyweight champion and I'll be very happy, or I'm going to legitimately see some greatness in the ring. I'm going to see potentially the beginning of a new era in heavyweight boxing, so I can't get mad either way. BT's interviewed Philip Hergovich, and it is one of the best interviews on this channel. Thank you. I've interviewed Philip probably, 5 or 6 times. I was supposed to interview him a 7th time, but he seemed like he's pretty busy with camp. I was trying to pin him down to get him on here, but he's pretty busy with camp. So I told him, I said, look, man, if we don't do it before the fight, I'll see you in London. Straight up. Dre the General says, true, way to not fold under pressure when you were talking to Bill Haney. # real journalist. Well, I tried, man. I definitely give it the old college try. That was years ago. And you know what's funny? I'm gonna tell you a story about that. Since this is the live where we're just chilling, and I'm telling stories. So these stories and these things I'm telling you guys, like the Rick Glazer story about Rachel Donaire, the Caleb Plant story from the Madrimov Crawford fight. These stories will paint the picture of True School Sports. So I remember in 2021 when Bill Haney pressed me, because for those of you who don't know what Dre the General is talking about, in 2021 I went to Bones Adams boxing gym because Devin Haney had a media workout. He was preparing to fight Jorge Linares, I believe. And at the time, this is when the whole WBC franchise drama was going on, franchise champion. So Devin had the regular belt. Tia was the franchise champion. And there was I believe on that day, there was I think it was I think Andrade had petitioned to fight Jamal Charlo or something like that. So if you go and you watch the question, the way I phrased it, I asked Devin, I said, if you beat Linares, or Teofimo wins his fight or whatever it was, will you petition to fight Teofimo for the, I guess, the full title or the and then he's like, what do you mean petition? And I had to explain it to Devin, and then I told Devin to his face that, you have a portion of the belt, and Bill didn't like that, and Bill said, that's bullshit. Where you from? And I said, South Florida. And so that's what he's talking about. But the funny thing about it is everybody on camera saw that, Bill was going off of me. Bill was doing those things. But what they didn't see was at that time, if you guys, for those of you who really been watching me for a lot of years back then, at that time, I made a video and I had stated that I was quitting boxing because I had gotten exposed to a lot of the inner workings of boxing, and it really discouraged the hell out of me when I found out how boxing works, and all the bureaucracy and politics that go into the sport, like when I really seen it in play. And so I got discouraged with that, and I probably was just discouraged that I wasn't growing the way I wanted to, right? So I said, you know what? I was just frustrated. I said, you know what? I'm not covering boxing no more. And I remember it was a big deal at the time. A lot of people were blowing up my phone. And I guess Bill Haney had seen that video. So that day, after all that was done, when no one was around, Bill Haney pulled me to the side, and Bill Haney actually gave me some encouragement, and he said, hey, you can't quit covering boxing. You got to keep going. And he gave me a lot of encouragement. So shout out to Bill Haney, man. Real guy, one of the genuine good people in this sport. I haven't talked to Bill in years now, but I got a lot of respect for him. Italma is the light. Just face it. I'm trying to tell y'all, reaching a handout from the bandwagon. Time is running out. Listen, I like Moses. I'm a fan of Moses, but you talking about being on the Moses bandwagon. Man, I created the Filip Hrgović bandwagon. So no, I'm sticking with my guy, Filip Hrgović. And I believe that Moses will be a champion at some point. And maybe it will be August 29th, but God's timing's perfect. You should go to Big Bear to interview Filip Hrgović, man. I thought about it. I actually thought about it recently. I don't think I'll be able to do it, but I'll see him on fight week. Yeah, it's a good fight, Joel. I talked about it earlier. It's good to see Espinoza in there with a good puncher, actual puncher. He don't really fight too many of those. Getting him to fight one of the world champion punchers is like pulling teeth. So I'm glad it's mandatory as a puncher. Even though, and shout out to Fix Electronics. I see you, champ. Salute. Pac-Man says, even though I'm picking Itama, I can see a path to victory for Hrgović. I feel like it's going to be the body work for Philip to slow him down, because if not, Moses would be too quick for him. I really feel like this fight for Hrgović, if he fights to his best visibilities or close to it, it'll look something similar to his fight with Amir Mansour and or Lenier Perot in the amateurs. Those fights. I love the behind the scenes stories. Yeah, thank you, man. I got a lot of them. Like I feel like my friend Hyro. If you guys know Hyro, if you watch the chat, he's normally in the chat. But Hyro, when I'm on the phone with him, sometimes he'll start asking me questions about certain years and certain places I've been to and certain fighters, and I don't realize how many stories I actually have until people start asking me certain questions. So, yeah, it's a lot. I haven't seen Hrgović really go to the body. He went to the body in the Zhang fight. He went to the body in the Zhang fight in the second half of the fight, and that actually played a big role in why he won, even though a lot of people thought he lost. It played a role. It played a role in him having success. Keith Mitch, what's good, champ? Long time no see. He says, BT, what up? Big shout out to the sponsors. Now I don't got the StreamYard, but Wonder Bread, Vienna sausages, cinnamon buns, Kool-Aid with no motherfucking sugar. Like Jarrell Miller said at the Anthony Joshua press conference all those years ago. Shout out to you, champ. You listen, appreciate the love and support. Do you think Moses beats Sanchez after he runs over Filip Hrgovic? You're asking the wrong question, man. What the real question is going to be: will the British media call Moses a hype job once Filip Hrgovic takes his heart in the UK? How about that one? Why is nobody giving that any thought? Like, Moses is a very good fighter. I like Moses, man, but I feel like for a guy who literally he hasn't fought a soul. He has not fought a soul in the professional ranks. What has he done to get all this benefit of the doubt from everybody? He hasn't fought a soul. He fought the corpse of Dillian White. Like, and I'm not trying to downplay him. It's just I'm more so speaking to the fact that everybody's just so quick to give Moses the benefit of the doubt. And it's just like listen, I'm not saying Moses can't win. I think it's a very big possibility, especially early in the fight when you consider Hrgovic's his scar tissue, the wars he's been in, the speed advantage. I mean, I acknowledge those things, but like you got Rick Laser and you got people, you got Rick Laser and people saying he's better than Mike Tyson, that Mike Tyson was at his age, and it's like, bro, if Filip Hrgovic beats this dude and takes his heart in front of all his friends and family in the UK, I don't want to hear he was too young. I don't want to hear that he wasn't good. All I want is for you guys to say that Filip Hrgovic is the best heavyweight in the world. And I don't even want to hear about Daniel Dubois either, because Daniel Dubois had to headbutt his life and still couldn't drop it. So the way y'all talk about Moses, yes, listen. The way the boxing world is talking about Moses Itama, if Hrgovic beats Moses Itama, Hrgovic should go to the Hall of Fame. Shame on the zone. Yeah, shame on the zone. DT. Oh. You guys said the audio is trash. The audio is not good. I took my headphones out. Hold on. This always happens. Whenever I go live and I'm not on stream, this always happens. I'm gonna have to end this live soon because my phone's on 9%. BT, you're not putting no money on Hrgovic though. Shit, I might. It's good odds. Y'all can't hear me? Hold on. If Moses loses, he's a hype job. You know how this works. Hold on, man. Y'all hear me now? Am I good now? Check 2 1 2. Check. This is why I don't use the YouTube app. We good now? All right. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I got the microphone in the wrong place, but I mean, I gotta end this shit too anyway because I unplugged it because my phone is on 9%. So I guess maybe like 10 more minutes, and then I gotta get up off here. Did I see Arnold Barbosa spar Bobby Green Jr.? Boxing got it to get back after Bang Williams took a major. Okay, so I wanna speak about this, man. I wanna speak about this because a lot of people just now found out who Bang Williams was because of Adrian Broner and streaming. I've been knowing about Bang Williams since 2018, 2019, because he's from South Florida. He's from Broward County. He's from Broward County like I'm from Broward County. He was a talented, promising prospect at one point in time. And I won't, I'm not going to put his business out there. But all I can say about Bang is that Bang has not legitimately been a serious fighter for like 6 or 7 years. Like, there was a card in 2000 and, what year was it? What year was this fight? 2020. In 2020, there was a card in Miami. And I covered that card with a local show. He missed weight on that card, and he's been involved in a bunch of stuff outside of boxing that just has slowed him up. So, I mean, I didn't really put no stock into Bobby doing anything to Bang Williams because Bang Williams hasn't been in shape for years, hasn't been a serious fighter in my eyes for years now. That's just the truth. And I like Bang. I really want Bang to be successful, but that's just the truth of it. So, I wasn't impressed. Now, if he would have done something with Barbosa, then I would have been impressed. We can have a gentlemanly bet on that one, BT. I'm not betting no money, champ. I don't bet on boxing. I only bet on boxing like twice ever. I don't bet on. I don't. I have an addictive personality, so that's why I don't bet. Bang Williams fought Antonio Perez on the Kyles Broner undercard. I was there. I was there, and he lost that fight. I was there. I'll tell you this: Bang. I don't think Bang will ever reach what maybe he probably could have been as a fighter if he would have taken it serious. But he's got a brother, Devon Tap Williams. I think Devon Tap Williams, his brother, has a chance to pan out better in the pros because he takes it serious and he's big for welterweight. He kind of fights like a young Adrian Broner a little bit. You know, shout out to Devon Tap Williams, one of the fighters from South Florida. I'm really rooting for. I like him a lot. The whole AJ Fury thing, you know, it's just it reeks of greed and desperation, and not desperation, but just greed. Yeah, promoters being greedy, promoters, you know, putting the fans last, which is when you look at why boxing isn't when you look at why boxing isn't as popular as it should be right now, it's because they've been putting the fans last for I don't know how many years now in boxing. AJ versus Fury is another Mayweather Pacquiao 2. Not even, because at least Mayweather Pacquiao 2 happened where it was supposed to happen. Broner seems like a bad influence. You think that's because? Do you think that's because of Bang regressing? That's the cause of Bang? No, I don't. Because Bang had issues before he was even hanging around Broner. He had issues, you know. I mean, I don't want to put his stuff out there like that, but he had fights where he missed weight at the club show level before he even was hanging out with Broner. All him hanging out with Broner did was accelerate that, and I don't get no joy in saying these things, but it's the truth. Who is Keyshawn fighting next? Well, he's not fighting Devin, and odds are he's probably not fighting Brian Norman Jr. because he don't want that fight unless it's for a belt, you know, and unless he's getting paid like crazy amount of money. Platinum Mike Perry. I don't think I've seen him. I don't think I've ever seen Mike Perry box. To be honest with you, what I do know about Mike Perry as a boxer is this one fighter from South Florida named Bad Blake Davis. He went in with it to bare knuckle, and he actually called out Platinum Mike Perry. And Platinum Mike Perry, he ain't want no smoke. You think Keyshawn Davis might get Liam Paro? I mean, that'd be a good consolation prize. I mean, it'd be a chance for him to become a two division world champion. Does Michael Hunter still got a chance to come back? We all have a chance, but like the actual fact about Michael Hunter is that Michael Hunter had a chance years ago to be a factor in the heavyweight division, but he ducked Philip Hergovich for the IBF Eliminator, and Michael Hunter, he's just there, like talented fighter, could probably get one last like good fight, but I felt like his time in the heavyweight division passed him by. As sad as it is to say, because there was hope. There was hope at one point that Michael Hunter might have been, one of the guys that could have been something in American heavyweight boxing, but just it didn't happen for him. You could say it was because of lack of ability. I mean, he had a draw Povetkin, and then he ducked Philip Hergovich, and then he fought a bunch of cans on Triller. So, I mean, I hope he comes back, but I doubt it. And he's a Don King fighter. Yeah, he's done. He's done. Maybe he gets like a WBA title shot because Don's like this still to this day with the WBA and WBC. But nah, he's probably done. What are my thoughts on Robert Easter Jr.? I thought Robert was good. He was a good fighter. I thought he lost Denis Shafikov when they fought. Um, Solid fighter. You know, had a good jab, long, rangy, and fast for 135. Didn't really have great inside skills because I remember when Adrian Granados fought him. I thought Adrian Granados beat him, and that fight was crazy because the punch stats were in favor of Granados. Um, Robert Easter actually wound up going to the hospital, but he got the decision. So interesting fight. Has there ever been a knockout that you stand a knockout that was a fluke? A fluke? Um, a knockout that was a fluke. I can't think of one off the top, but a lot. I remember for a while. I remember at the time I felt like Julius Sindongo was a fluke when he was doing his thing. Raul Cordial is absolute he's sorry. He's not gonna really do much at 47. But guys, I would like to stick around longer, but my phone is about to die, and when I unplug this thing, the audio is going terrible. So look, I'm gonna wrap it up here. But shout out to you guys for spending the last hour and a half with me. I'm gonna get up on out of here, but I am gonna stay up. I am gonna watch Terra Moana, and there will be a post-fight review video for that. And yeah, so stay tuned for all the content here on True School Sports. 12 days away from going to the UK for Hergovich versus Itama, so it should be a lot of fun. Stay tuned for all that and all the other world-class content here on True School Sports. And